Hey everybody, this is Modern Refugee. I wanted to do a short video for you guys today talking about repairing and restoring your hand tools. I originally was going to do a video on replacing a axe handle, but there's literally thousands of videos on YouTube on replacing axe and hatchet handles. I know because I've already made one. One of the first videos I ever did was making a hatchet handle from scratch for this guy right here, and I figured it'd just be redundant to go ahead and do another video like that. Um, but I do want to talk about some of the things that I keep on hand and explain to those who might not know what to have on hand to repair your hand tools, especially if you don't have access to all the good stuff that we can get off the internet or whatnot. So I'm going to show you guys some things here that I keep on hand to repair and kind of make my hand tools work. Even if something breaks, I have the means to go through and repair them. Hand tools are sort of the last line of defense in a bad situation, because if all else fails, you can still rely on your hand tools typically. Um, the two main things when it comes to hand tools that are going to give you problems probably are rust and handles. I'm going to talk about handles here first. It's a good thing to keep a couple handles around. This is a hatchet handle here. If you got a hatchet and an axe, keep a hatchet handle and a axe handle around. This isn't very much. Paid a few dollars for this, and that way I've got a spare. That way, if you break a handle or something, you can just replace it. You don't have to whittle a handle out of the wood pile, so to speak. Another thing when it comes to handles, sometimes handles they don't have to be completely replaced. Sometimes they can just be repaired, and I'm going to show you. This is one of my favorite hammers here. Had this hammer a really long time. About 10 years ago, it started to develop a crack in the handle right about here, and I taped it up, and maybe taped it up a couple of times since then when this tape got frayed. And here we are 10 years later, and I'm still using this tool. So don't discount something as simple as tape, even though it doesn't look, real super pretty. It's functional. So some electrical tape and Gorilla tape can come in handy to go ahead and repair these handles. Another thing is wedges. There's different styles of wedges. There's steel wedges. There's wooden wedges. Start with wooden wedges here. This is a wooden wedge. You can buy these, or you can make these if you have the skill to do that. But these wedge kits, like this one right here, these can be kind of on the expensive side. I think I paid $5 for this one, and there's really not much in it. There's two steel wedges and a little wooden wedge. So sometimes if you can find a place that sells these wedges like by bulk, they're going to be a lot cheaper if you go ahead and you buy them. But what if you can't find those handle wedges? There's some alternatives other than just making them. And one of those alternatives are cedar shims. And cedar shim is these are used to like level furniture, level like wash machines and stuff. And they're a wedge, thin on one end, thick on the other, and you can actually improvise wedges to go inside your handles with those cedar shims. So, and most hardware stores have these. Again, these are very inexpensive. This doesn't cost very much. Getting into steel wedges, this is something else that you can use. Steel wedges look like this, and steel wedges typically will go across the handle in the eye of the tool, just like this, to spread out that wood and help that handle grip whatever it is, hatchet, axe. There's various different styles. Now, what I showed you here, these are typical traditional steel wedges, and they're usually put in an angle, like you can kind of see on this right here. They were put in an angle that spreads the wood in all directions. Now, there's another type of wedge that you can get, and they're conical wedges. They look like this. They're round. You put these in your handle, and it spreads the wood out all the way around, just like putting two wedges in at an angle, like I showed you there on that hammer. And they look something like this in the end of the handle on my hatchet here. So that's wedges, basically in a nutshell, and how to use those. Gluing can be used too. For putting in wedges and handles, but there's kind of two different schools of thoughts on using glue. Some guys like to use glue on handles and others don't. But if you do happen to keep some glue around for repair purposes, and that's also goes for caulk, silicone, anything like that too. If you happen to have some of this around, this stuff doesn't like to freeze. So if you live in a cold climate, don't keep your glues and adhesives and silicones out in an outbuilding where they can freeze, because it will ruin them and they won't be as near as effective. I'm going to turn the camera around now, and I'm going to show you my little vat that I have here to take rust off of tools, and I got an actual axe in there that I'm working on right now, and explain a little bit on how I go about taking rust off tools. And here is that vat I was telling you about. It's just a thin Tupperware container, and I got a gallon of white vinegar in there and a cup of plain salt. And what you do is you soak your tools in that, and that is going to loosen up your the rust that's on that tool. This particular axe right here was extremely rusty, and I've been soaking this, and as you can see there, I've got enough of the rust off of this axe where you can actually see the temper line on the axe. So this right here is just a real simple way to start loosening rust off of hand tools. It'll work for hammers, it'll work for axes, it'll work for hatchets, whatever that you happen to have. Now this axe has been in here probably, this is the second treatment, and I'm probably going on 4 or 5 days that this is soaked in there. The longer you soak it, the more rust you're going to get off. I'm actually going to go back up on the workbench now, and I'm going to show you a couple of other things then to aid you in getting that rust off those tools after this acid and salt soak here. All right, back up here on the workbench now. This, kind of a close-up here of what that axe looks like that I had in that vinegar and salt soak. Now, what I'm going to do with this axe is I'm going to take it and I'm going to mix up a water solution, and I'm going to put a little baking soda in that water, and I'm going to clean this axe head with that baking soda and water solution. That's going to neutralize any vinegar that's left on this axe. And at that point, after that is neutralized and this is dried off, then you're going to set to working that axe head with some steel wool and a little bit of lubricant like WD-40. And what's going to happen is that rust, that's going to kind of liquefy on that axe head. Then you can just take a clean rag and you can wipe that rust off. And you just keep repeating that process until you get down basically to a decent looking tool again. Then, when you're all said and done, then you go ahead and you put some type of lubricant on the outside of it. And it's a good idea to put some type of lubricant on your tools after you're done using them. You know, splitting wood, like if I have my bushcraft saws, I take them out in the woods, I use them, it's kind of snowing or whatever. It's a good thing when I get back to wherever I'm staying, I take a little bit of lubricant, whether it be oil or WD-40 or whatever, and I clean those tools off and put a light coating of that lubricant on those tools. It's going to help those tools last a heck of a lot longer, and you're getting a lot more resources out of them. And then this axe right here, as you can see, there's no wedge in this axe handle. So I'm actually going to, after I got this steel cleaned up on here, I'm going to re-wedge this axe with the items that I showed you here on the workbench, and I'm just going to keep this handle right on this axe because there's absolutely nothing wrong with this handle, and I've never seen one that had a red handle like this. So I'm going to just repair this instead of cutting this handle off and making a whole new handle for it. I'm going to get the miles out of this guy. So just wanted to talk to you about some of the things that I got here on on my bench about repairing handles and restoring tools. Hopefully you guys got a little information out of this. If you've never had to repair a handle before, I think this video will help you out in both repairing handles and removing rust off your tools. But anyway, this is Modern Refugee. I appreciate all my subscribers out there. Hope you guys found this video a little bit informative and a little bit entertaining. Anyway, you guys have a good day.